Today we're looking at how ImperialHal takes his 1v3s and what the general strategy is for you guys to replicate it yourself. Hello, welcome. Thank you for clicking on the video. I appreciate it. If you are new to the series, this series where we review content creators is to break things down and kind of explain it for a more casual audience to understand it. Listen guys, all I'm saying is that if you don't like the video, Watson's win rate will skyrocket and then they're going to nerf her really hard and we don't want that, so just like the video. I promise it'll help. All right, let's just get into it. Climbing up to see what's happening, what's inside.
Flying fuck is this?
Rampart players and pubs, different breed, simply a different breed. Please stop doing it. I mean, you can if you want, but like, it's kind of sad. It's a party inside. We see, oh frick, how many is this? One, down teammate, 2, 3. There are 3 people on this staircase right now. This man sees all 3 people and he's like, nope, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'll catch you later. So he retreats up to this height where it'd be much easier to, well, A, heal, and B, if he is to be pushed, the chances are lower that all 3 enemies will push him at one time. Not 0 compared to if he was staying down below and staying in front of the door on the bottom floor or outside of it, because they have a less of a distance to travel in order to gang up on him. Sounds like they're finishing the octane. Rest in peace, homie. Horizon pushing up. Horizon queued up, but died in her queue, leaving her queue. And then we see 2 enemies follow up. So Hal is like, oh shit. And then he dips. We just saw another one climb up. Like I said, chances are lower, not necessarily 0, that the whole 3 enemies are going to push you. So he backs up. He's like, I ain't about this life, and leaves. In 1v3s, no matter how goated at the game you are, this man is the CEO of Apex Legends. Not even this man could win that 1v3 on that roof with no cover. And he's aware of this, right? So he backs up in order to put himself in a different situation so he can take 1v1s instead of 1v3s. Because in a 1v3, what you want to do is you want to isolate each enemy, knock them, and then retreat. IKR, remember that shit. Isolate, knock, retreat, bare minimum. You want to get that finish if you can, but if you can't, then you still are buying yourself more time. And we see this Octane just absolutely fling himself at Hal. Right here, what almost always happens, right? If you are getting chased by a full 3-man squad, there are, for the most part, 3 characters that are going to be a problem. An Octane, a Pathfinder, or probably a Wraith are going to be the ones following your ass. But the nice thing is that when 3 people are chasing you, you know, these movement characters happen to be in front and are basically right on your butt. This is actually not the worst thing in the world, because they are isolating themselves by being so far ahead of their teammates. And Hal knows this, right? So he's taking advantage of the opportunity that this Octane is giving him, and he's rolling them. It's an isolated fight, knocks him, and then he leaves. So if you are being chased by a full 3-man squad, and if you have decent amount of health, if you don't, you want to get that health first. But if you don't, you want to see if you can bait a member of the enemy team to push you and get further ahead of the rest of their team. That way you can take that isolated 1v1 fight. You're going to have to win it quickly, but you knock them. Now it is a 1v2 rather than a 1v3. And this is exactly what Hal does here. Be aware that if your team is chasing a solo player and they are good, you pushing out there could end up giving that solo enemy an advantage that you don't want to give them. We just heard that they finished rezzing. Usually you want to finish that kill, but if you can't, then you can't. It's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world. You've bought yourself more time to figure out what you're going to do. So it is unfortunate that he got rezzed, but it's okay. So he goes up, he takes height to see what's happening, where people are going. Re-knocks, because an amazing thing about taking height like this is that you can essentially isolate members from a distance, if that makes sense. You don't always have to be up close and personal to isolate people. You can definitely do this from a distance, because if you are a decent shot, then you can do a lot of damage to a singular person and focus on that one target without their teammates doing as much to you compared to if you were close. So Mirage decoy over there. As we can see, he's still on the high ground. He did do a little bit of isolating in terms of targeting priority, and he's holding this high ground really well. this Mirage pushed up to him, which is kind of an isolated fight, right? Because he can fight this Mirage from an angle where the Rampart can't see him. So it looks like the Mirage backed up, or whoever climbed up, because they saw the ring coming. So right here, it's round 3 closing. He's taking damage. He is risking the damage in order to put some shots into the enemy's backs. That way, once he gets inside the ring, he's healing, they're healing, and it's a standoff, and then he can figure out what to do next without being bum rushed by 2 players at the same time. He's basically planning ahead, but I'm sure he's still going for the kills at the same time, but at the very least, they won't be as much of a threat when he gets in the ring. And then we see the reposition. Right, he has to heal right now. They're probably going to heal right now. It's a good thing he got those shots off. They would probably be more aggressive if they had more health. Mirage bamboozle, rip. And we hear him killing down below. It's taking height because remember, like I said, you can isolate enemies from height as well. I don't think Rampart realizes is that if she came over here, right, tried to set up her turrets or whatever, she would have a much better angle than down here. That way she could do a decent amount of damage to him while he's on the high ground. Of course, I think he would still be more or less okay, but he would have less room to work with. But as we can see, the Rampart is there, the Mirage isn't. So now it is a matter of just 1v1s, right? They're super split. You just 1v1 them both, isolate, knock, retreat, and then he wins the game. And he was climbing up. It was just hiding right there, bro. He was just hiding right there. And now the Mirage really doesn't have anywhere to go. Finishes the ISO fight. He can drop down like that because he is Pathfinder, right? Because he is Pathfinder, maybe if he was Horizon, he could just retreat back up the height super easily, which here he does. Rampart's in the open. She's crazy, crazy. And there you go. There you go. If you could take away anything from this video, the key to 1v3ing is taking separate 1v1s and then disengaging as soon as you're done with said 1v1. This is why we see that zipline buildings are so popular for pub stoppers like Fade and Hollow. Those buildings allow for extremely easy disengaging from fights after your 1v1. And Pathfinder is just a really good character that allows for really easy solo disengages. What do I mean by solo disengages? I mean that he is really good for getting away without anybody following you, and he has many more options about where he can go compared to other characters like Wraith. This is why he was so easily able to go down and knock that Mirage at the very end of the game. He probably might have not been able to do that if he wasn't playing Pathfinder. But you know what, he might have. There are definitely other ways to retreat than just grapple, right? So I'm sure you could have figured something out. Other characters like Wraith, Horizon, Octane, Valk, Loba, Bangalore, they all have very unique ways to disengage, and we see Shiv use it a lot with Bangalore. And so these characters are the really good ones for 1v3. Okay, thank you for watching. I appreciate it so much. Arigato. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. And yeah, make sure to follow me on Twitter as well. Bye.